tanks, some things like that, and also be some additional training area for them, you know, lugging things up the stairways and some other storage stuff up there, so. Just to give you an idea, elevation view-wise. So this will be the elevation view facing Fairfield Street. If you're coming in to the site from Fairfield Street, that's what you'll be looking at. This one right here would be facing the existing police department. This is that rear facing Cascade Mill Road. These are the two doors that we talked about where the back-to-back bay. And then this will be the north elevation, which is facing to the north end, so.
And the office space on this building is going to be designed so it looks exactly like the police department, so it's going to be part of the complex.
Yeah. And you can see that difference in roof elevation, like on that picture we'll show you in a few minutes here. Obviously, the larger of the facilities is the apparatus bay where that has the most equipment. And this just shows a section through the building. This is actually as if you cut that building and you're looking at the back wall. This is the mechanical room and the SCBA room, an exterior door going out the back, and those same two rear access doors that we talked about. And you can see obviously the ceiling height is significantly different. And this is probably like 8 feet, and this is, like you said, 16 or 18 feet on the apparatus. This shows that mezzanine I was talking about, stairways coming up in here, and has training, and we're not, again, this is very conceptual at this point. There may be some other things that are added up there, small little rooms that the department can use for training, for firefighting. This shows the view as if you were standing in the truck apparatus bay facing the office area. This shows that same mezzanine up here.
That doesn't matter as far as the disability stuff, or you have a, it's not, that's acceptable.
The public won't be getting up in there. It'll be storage, it'll be for training.
Yeah, I understand, but.
They have special consideration, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have special considerations for the fire departments, you know, as far as accessibility.
That's a good idea.
Is that correct?
Mezzanines under a certain size are exempt under ADA.
Okay. So the last slide I want to show you here is the preliminary site plan. Based upon those drawings you see. This is the existing fire department. This is the new police station we're in right now. This is the land that we acquired, or we're in the process of acquiring from Meslonsky Stream Hydro. Part of the issue with this property is going to be have to relocate the overhead power line that cuts across. So that's one of the, we got the land for free, but there is some cost associated because we have to get rid of those overhead power lines. So we've already met with Central Maine Power on that. Gary's going to talk about that in a little bit as well. This is the proposed facility, again, as it sits today. This will all be paved out here coming onto Fairfield Street for quick access or quick exiting. Where the existing facility sits right now, one of the things that we're lacking here at this complex is parking. So there'll be some additional parking. Great thing about that is we're using the public works crew, we can get it done relatively inexpensively. So I think that this parking will be used not only for the fire department, but will also be used probably for people at the town office that now park in the grass there, in the gravel area behind the fire department. And you'll have staff, fire department staff parking back here. This shows how these rear exits will work, where if they're having to take a rescue call or something, whatever truck is out back here, they'll make that quick access onto Fairfield Street from that direction. So.
Boyd,
Yes.
also the existing fire station won't be impacted with
Yes.
the new station being built.
That's correct. I mean, the great thing about acquiring this property is this entire facility can be built. We can move everything over to here, then demo this and build our final parking lot. So Be different than what we had in the police department. We had them everywhere. We had them down in the old council chambers. They were kind of spread out because we were building right in the same location. With this layout that we've got here, it's a perfect scenario where this can stay. We won't affect their operations at all. Once this is completed, they'll move over in here, then we'll demo the existing building and start the rest of the work, so, thank you.
Is there a lot of fill that you're gonna bring in? Is the lay of the land like it is behind?
It is, it's a fairly decent drop off, so that's one of the things we're working on right now. Once this building gets, once the committee has narrowed in and finalized on a floor plan and what the building's gonna be looking at, that's when I'll be looking at grades and how we're gonna make this all work. We do have a lot of fill that Jeff has down there from previous road projects that he's been storing, so, you know, and hopefully we can use a lot of that existing material there again, just to save money, so.
Is that little box the Hewitt's house?
This one?
Yes.
No, the one next to the fence, it looks like a fence. Charlie Hewitt's,
Right here? That's their garage.
Hewitt's garage.
Yeah, and that's their house right there. Is that Hewitt?
Yeah, that's Hewitt's.
Okay. Yep.
There's a line of trees right there, that's what that,
This is a proposed, right now this is all wooded right here, but when we start clearing that out, or even now in the wintertime, there's not a lot of visual barrier between the fire department and their house. So as part of this, if the public votes for this, we would do in the design a row of arborvitae or something that would shield it a little better than the current hardwoods that are out there now, so. So you can use, by the ordinance, you can either use fence or some type of vegetation. I just think natural vegetation might be a better fit there, so.
what's the long piece of land going to happen to that?
Yep, so this came with the piece, and basically what we looked at there is maybe down the road, some additional parking, maybe some additional training areas for where the fire department could get out on a gravel pad or something and do whatever training they need to do. So nothing we're doing at this point, but there are, you know, possibilities. Right now, we're gonna use some of that for snow storage, where obviously the more parking areas you create, we have to put that snow somewhere. So we'll use some of that area for snow storage.
How wide is it?
This is 67 feet, I think, here. Then it kind of narrows in here. We're required to maintain 20 feet between the substation and the property line. And we're actually waiting now, with the land, we're waiting to hear back from FERC for approval for this whole land transfer. And they'll have to approve that 20-foot setback. We were given that by Messalonski Stream Hydro. So. But yeah, I would say future training, maybe future spillover parking. If this facility is used for voting or things like that, or even for a warming area for the public or something, you know, I could see additional parking being needed out here as people come in to use those services, so.
Is it access to the back road here? There's a line across there, is that?
So, right now there is, but we're having everything come out the front or here, and the reason being is this Cascade Mill Road is a private drive. It's not owned by the town. So, right now, this little triangular piece you see here, this is actually an encroachment of Messalonski Stream Hydro on town property. So as part of this deal, we're cleaning up some issues that were there before.
But there won't be access to back there.
No.
At this point, no, but that could change in the future.
Yeah, again, this is conceptual. We may decide that, Chief, and as we're going through the design process, we may feel like we want a quick outlet, or they may say, hey, can you just put us a, you know, some type of access point?
Boy,
You know, that's-
other than what's there now, right between the fire station and.
Yes, yeah, that'll stay, that'll
That's
stay.
That stays.
That
Yeah.
stays, right, yeah.
Does it show that?
Yeah.
It is right down here, actually.
Oh, there it is.
Yep, yep. So that this whole lane right here won't change. What we hope happens is people that come to the town office, if this parking over here is full, staff parks out back here, somebody will pull in here and come in here and park here, either to access the police department, town office, or the fire department. So it's kind of a central parking.
But there won't be anything on down onto this road. back
Nothing in
further.
addition to what's here now, so. Okay. So, just a few other things. This shows that overhead power line I was talking about, and again, we're gonna get into this in a few minutes here. That we need to reroute. This shows a similar view of, it's a very similar layout that we're proposing here for this fire department. This is from Vermont, Underhill Jericho. Fairly similar, you see that low roof line, and again here, I mean, very similar to what this facility will look like if approved.
Have you been in that one?
Chief had, you've been by it, I don't know if you've
I've
been in it.
Yeah, I've been in it.
You've seen the plans for it though, right?
Yeah, I've been in it, I've visited it, I've seen the plans, and it's kind of what we're modeled after. You know, there are some differences, but it was something that I like the looks of and what I use as a model.
That's 4 doors, you're talking about 3, right?
4.
What's it 4? You're gonna have 4?
Actually, it'd be 4 on the front and then 2 on the back.
Okay.
But as far as view, that you're looking at probably very close to what this facility will look like from Fairfield Street. With the exception of the brick.
And the Vermont flag.
And the Vermont, yeah. So some of the next steps we're working through right now. Right now, we're finalizing a land acquisition. It's all in FERC's hands right now. They have to bless it before the land can be donated. So we're waiting for that information to come back. We don't anticipate any issues with that. We are finalizing currently with the concept plans with the architect that's on board, as well as the committee. And once those concept plans are somewhat finalized, then we'll get into the, start to develop cost estimates. Rick McKenzie will be doing the building cost estimates, and I'll be doing the site cost estimates. Coordinating with Central Maine Power to relocate the overhead power lines. We've already met with them once. They gave us a rough price tag. That was very early in the process. You know, just us telling them on site, this is what might happen. So that'll be the next steps, is coordinating their work. Reviewing the cost estimates some point late spring, early summer, and then make a recommendation. The committee will make a recommendation to the town council as how they recommend to proceed. At that point, once we started getting cost estimates together, you'll start seeing some public outreach like we did on the police department facility. We'll be at Oak Fest. There'll be a booth at Oak Fest. I'm sure we'll have informational meetings where we'll have a lot more details than we have right now. And then throughout that same time frame, we'll be finalizing the funding aspect of the project. This kind of gives you a timeline of what we're looking at. We're looking at probably sometime through May for the concept plan, the cost estimate. Hopefully in May, we've got the word from FERC that we're okay to acquire that land. Pre-site improvements we'll talk about in a few minutes here. Determining the funding, Gary's already been working through a lot of that already. As far as trying to plan, even though he doesn't have a cost, he's trying to get a handle on how we're going to fund this. Thinking that the recommendation of the council for this project probably will come in June, July of this year. And public outreach will probably start as soon as we start getting the cost estimates finalized, where we can start getting out and getting some hard facts to the public. And obviously, this is all contingent upon the public vote on November 6th. So just to quickly summarize, committee has made the decision to move forward with the fire department as the next facility that needs to be updated. All the public, there's been 2 different public surveys, my understanding, for this project. One was in 2015, and there was one more recently.
Just recently.
And all the public surveys have come back favorable that, facility improvement is a high priority for the taxpayers. Once the complete concept plans and cost estimates are complete, again, the committee will make that recommendation. And I guess that's going to lead me into Gary's discussion about the utility relocation and some preliminary site stuff.
Can I ask why is it Central Maine Power? Why were they so willing to give us the land? Well, Central Maine Power didn't give us the land, it was Messalonskee Hydro that actually owns it, the same company that owns the old Central Maine Power plant down there.
Why were they so willing?
Well, we work well with them. We've got a good relationship. When we did this project, we helped them on some issues that they had as far as runoff, and I've gotten to become fairly close with Andrew Locke, who's the president of the company, for different dealings, and so when I gave him a call and I told him what we were proposing to do and told him we didn't have a lot of money to spend on this thing, he got hold of his board, they went through their process, and he called me back and said that they were planning on donating the land to the town of Oakland. There's a couple of benefits for them. One is we do have an outdated fire station, and fire services are very important to them as well. And so it's generous, it gets some of the land off the tax maps from them, even though it's about an acre, it's not a lot, but still, it saves them a little bit of money in the process, and it helps us out as well.
I also think that was an area of their parcel they just didn't ever see utilizing. So it was one of those where they're, paying taxes on it, and why not give it to the town to help them out? So I think, had that been a different area, maybe they, might have thought more a little harder about it, but they really can't do much with that land right the way it's situated.
They have to relicense that hydro every so many years, and the town can have input on that, upon relicensing that hydro. This makes very good relations for them to the town of Oakland, which might help them relicense that hydro someday.
And you're smiling.
Hey, they're not doing this for nothing.
That's what I
They have
asked.
the people in Oakland be happy about their operation when it comes to relicensing.
That's why I
They help them
asked.
a lot.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt them tax-wise either.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it's not a lot of money. It's about an acre of land, so they're not they're not getting hurt on the taxes, but it certainly takes a little bit off, and every little bit helps for them. So this kind of brings me to the main reason why I've asked this group to get together to talk with us tonight. We're gonna meet again. This is a different project than we had with the police department. With the police department, we didn't have a lot of time on our side, so we weren't able to really bring you up to speed and incremental basis like we are on this one. And so we just brought you all together before we voted on the police department to get your approval on it based on the information that we had. We've got more time on our side. This is a more complex process, as you're seeing. We have a parcel of land that's involved with some complexities with that. So I need to get a vote from the budget committee to find out where they stand on us paying CMP to move this power line. And the reason why I'm asking for this now instead of after this thing gets voted on is because we're going to own that piece of land. And that piece of land is going to bring value to the town of Oakland, regardless if this passes or not. My anticipation is that at some point, if not this year, we are going to be building a new fire department. And if we do, this is the location to have it. Even though we're going to be asking to spend up to $50,000 on moving this power line, it's cheaper than what the alternatives were that we looked at. We had a parcel of land that came up for sale on Fairfield Street, the tunnel property, that was approximately $90,000. We had another parcel of land that we looked at, the current property on Church Street, that was about $135,000. So we're going to have less money invested in this piece of land, and it's going to be more beneficial for a complex that we're trying to achieve out of this. One of the reasons we saved money on this project was because we were able to utilize a public works department to do the site work. In comparison, the town of Belgrade, at the same time that we were building this police department, we're building a town office. And the town office was approximately the same square footage. They had to hire out everything from the engineering services that we get with Boyd to the site work. Our project came in at $1.05 million. Their project, about the same price tag, the same size, came in at $1.25 million. We ended up coming under budget. They ended up going back to the voters twice to get this approved, and they ended up spending an additional couple $100,000 to get the project finalized. So it's very important for us to be able to use our team to do this. CMP doesn't work at the speed of light. If we ask them to do a project, we're surely hoping that they're going to get this project done this summer. And by us committing to this now, we can probably get them to move that power line this summer. That allows us to get our team in there, to cut the wood, to stump the land, and start to prep it for what we can use it for in the future. We have many, many projects on our books. I'm pushing these guys right to the max most of the time. And for me to ask them to do all this stuff in one summer is probably gonna be impossible. If we get price estimates on this building, and those price estimates are set up for the summer of 2019, and we wait to get CMP to move this project, these power lines, then those price estimates may not be any good by the time we're able to do that project. So we really, this is gonna be advantageous for us. We have a fund for the building that consists of $159,000. I'm not asking us to raise new tax money to pay for this. I'm asking for us to take the money that's in that fund to start paying for this project beforehand. You know, if the building doesn't pass, it's going to give us a place for additional parking for the town of Oakland. It's going to give us a place for the fire department to do their training as needed. Right now, they're currently trained down by the Cascade. There's a parking lot down there. If they have to tear cars apart and practice on that, that's where they do it. We're going to be able to keep that right here. So it's certainly going to be advantageous on many different fronts if we can get this voted on to use this money to move this power line. Any questions or?
Do we have a guesstimate of what this would cost?
To move the power lines?
Nope, for the whole project.
We don't even dare to go on that right now. We're working on ways to pay for this without impacting our property taxes, and that's, to me, pretty important. And but as far as the price on it, we're not there yet. We're going to be gathering again so that we can talk just about that when we do have a price. And as most of you know, Central Maine Power Company has purchased 40 acres of land off in the races off the county road, and they're putting in a power substation that's going to run between 10 million at the low end to 18 million at the high end, which is going to produce at the very least $164,000 worth of new property tax every year. That's how I intend on paying for this project, is to, and that's going to more than cover anything that we have for mortgage on this. And I'm planning on asking to bond this out. One thing with the police department, we financed it out for 15 years. We had a TIF in the ground, or TIF project that the gas company allowed us to come up with. And that was originally for 10 years. And in preparation for phase 2, we extended it out to 30 years. So that's going to be another funding source for this eventually. So we're working through those rough figures and trying to get something so we're not going to go and shock people with the property tax increase. Anything else?
In your letter to us, you said the estimate, the approximate cost will be $40,000 to move
Right.
the wire.
And that's why I'm asking for up to 50,000, because they're estimates. I want to give us a little wiggle room. If it only costs us $40,000, then we won't have to spend the $50,000.
What will happen to the other 10?
The other 10 will say where it is for the savings account, because it's there right now. We have that fund with 160,000 in it that is earmarked for this project. So we're not, if we don't spend it, we don't spend it. If something comes apart with the FERC program, we're not going to spend it. We just need to get permission to do that if we move forward on it. The thing is, we've got a building that is deficient. I mean, our responsibilities for the fire department has increased continuously since 1955. We're dealing with wild weather events all over the country, including the state of Maine, and the importance of this group of men and women are becoming more and more every year. And the responsibilities that they have is phenomenal. The equipment has grown. We've got equipment all over the town. I mean, including like you just heard in a couple of basements in these people's homes. And if we have a water rescue situation out on Messalonski Lake, they have to go to the Cascade building, unlock the door, get the boat out of there. Whereas if they had it right here, they could hook on it and go. So this is actually just as critical as this police department was, and it's getting more and more critical as time goes. I talked a little bit about the school situation. We currently vote in the schools. Things are changing. I mean, we open up the newspaper and somebody's getting shot up at these schools. Well, at some point, these schools are going to stop us from going into those buildings with the public when we have kids in there. And, you know, and I think it's prudent that we start preparing for that. And this is gonna be one avenue that we can start doing that. It's gonna be more convenient for the taxpayers, it's gonna be convenient for the town, and, you know, it's something that's gonna be needed. I was talking with Chief Coughlin the other day, and he was sharing with me where they went up to do some training, and, you know, and everybody's got cell phones, so they see the fire department's coming to do the training up at the school department. Kids are texting their moms and saying what's going on, and dads, and then it's created a problem when we couldn't do the training up there. So this is all changing, and this is part of where we need to go with this. So, given that, I would, this is the way I have the article written. And see if the town will vote to transfer up to $50,000 from the municipal building reserve account to pay Central Maine Power Company to move power transmission line located on the parcel of land that Massillonsky Hydro is donating to the town of Oakland. So, if this is something that we don't want to discuss any further, I'm going to ask the council if they would be willing to make a motion on this. And
I'll make a motion that we accept this article to be put in our warrant this year.
Motion's made, do we have a second? Second, all in favor? Moving on.
okay, I would like to ask the Budget Advisory Committee to support this. And if you are, I'd like to have a vote on that, please.
I'll make a motion to support the article.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Discussion, Mike? one
We're
second.
gonna we'll have an official vote on this at the next budget advisory meeting with everybody present.
That's
as
correct.
well, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike, sorry. All in favor? Opposed?
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is a good thing for the town.
I'd like to just say that if we get the new fire station next door, I think it would be a nice civic hub for the town of Oakland.
Say that again, John.
A nice civic hub for the town of Oakland.
I think it will be. You know, the use that this room has gotten is amazing. We're accidentally double booking this thing all the time. And, you know, and with Eric, one of his problems is we don't have the space to do the stuff with some of the older folks in town that we should have. So I think it's gonna just add more for our community.
I don't know about the old people stuff, I'm not there yet.
I feel like I'm there, believe me. Thank you, folks.
So we won't be able to, are you gonna negotiate with Central Maine before the November vote?
We're actually going to bring this out to a town vote, okay, on May. And if that passes, then yes, we're going to get right to work with Central Maine Power Company and try to get them to move as quickly as possible on this so that we can get moving on this.
Yeah, they haven't seen what we have for concept plans. When we met with them, it was very early. It was just kind of pointing in a couple areas on the site saying this, you know, having that line going across the property won't work for us with this parcel. So what do you think it would cost? You know, I'm sure as we start sending them plans, those numbers are gonna get tighter and tighter as they get their designs.
They were optimistic about having a place to put it.
Yeah, they actually are gonna put it right on the Cascade Mill Road, actually on those poles that are there now, and run it out to KMD, which is really
Where it should have been, right?
which is what they kind of agreed on site, it's probably where it should have been anyway, so.
CMP has been very good to us. Every once in a while, accidentally, our plow guys will break a pole. You know, when you're out there at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're plowing, you're tired, you know, it's that wing's out there, they'll clip it, they're frozen and they snap. Those are $6,000 to replace. Central Maine Power Company doesn't charge the taxpayers in the town of Oakland. Now, Spectrum, different story. We have to pay the bill on them, but Central Maine Power Company treats us very well.
Mr. Bowman?
One of the comments to reinforce your point is in the discussions of the firehouse, fire station, as of right now, we're looking to have the exterior mimic what is in the police station. So you'd have the same color combinations, the same outside. So when people look at the complex, it's gonna look like it was all designed to come out the way that we're hoping it comes out.
Yeah, I would suggest not skimping on that public space because of, with the voting and, well, because
You know, the thing
I
is-
agree with using the scope, we've been,